The emotional come down after quitting alcohol. Hey, and welcome to episode 22 now on my series where I talk every day for 10 minutes more or less on a topic, unscripted and unedited, just to practice my speaking mainly. And today's topic, I'm finally starting this AI topic generation idea I had. So what I did was I fed all the transcripts of my previous 21 episodes into Microsoft Copilot and asked it, okay, give me some topics that you think I'd be good at talking about for this video series. And it did, and it came up with some of the most bizarre topics that I don't even know how it got some of these things. It was like deep philosophical topics, something along those lines. Things that are putting opinions into my mouth that I don't really have. It's like why I think this, that sort of thing. But I think this is definitely promising, and I would have benefited from doing this a lot earlier, to be honest. I think just the earlier transcripts, and there were some topics that are relevant, but this one seems to be one which popped up quite often. My constant hinting towards my crippling past with being an alcoholic, and that's somewhat relevant to real life as well, to be honest. So I'm putting this off for too long with this rambling introduction, so let's get started. So on that topic immediately, on that point, I've never really taken it very seriously, and no one else has really. And what do I mean by this? So I've always hinted every now and then to people that I've got this alcohol problem, like an alcohol addiction, perhaps almost in too playful a way, in the sense that I'll bring it up and people will just laugh, haha, he's just joking, he's just drinking every now and then. But no, it was really quite serious, even with healthcare professionals. So when I was waiting for a surgery for something unrelated once, they asked me my question about drinking and my mood and such, and I answered very honestly, and it wasn't good. But they just sort of laughed at me and brushed it off, because I guess like the NHS staff, they're quite overworked, to be honest, and they don't really want to be talking about these things when I'm in the hospital for a specific reason. But I guess that affected me in some way, in that, well, maybe it isn't so bad. Maybe, if everyone is just laughing it off, then it's not really much of an issue. And there's also the added issue whereby when you're living the loner life that I live, you don't really have any close friends or talk to your family that much. There's no one holding you accountable, so it's easy to fall into these things. So that's the quick backstory as to what happened. So on the final day of August, I took a photo of myself and thought, damn, what a mess. My face was all puffy. I looked like an absolute, I don't know, it was a disaster. My hair was a mess. I had a big beard. My place was a mess. I was like, okay, we're going to change things now. I'm just going to stop drinking. I know it's going to be scary, and it was scary. And yeah, I've had a few drinks over Christmas, and I was very disappointed in myself for that. But it was just to see what would happen. Could I quit again? But since the 1st of August, I've pretty much been alcohol free. And since the 1st of January, I haven't had any alcohol whatsoever. So the emotional issues, or the issues I've had as a result, I'm going to be honest, it was very hard to start off. Like, I think one of the big problems was my fear of how I would be able to live my life anymore. So I was so used to this. Like in 2025, up until September, I drunk every single evening, every single day. Some nights I just get absolutely trashed out of my mind. And the biggest problem I found actually was I could wake up at 7 a.m. the next day, have a shower, have a coffee and be completely fine. I never got hangovers. I think I've got hangovers maybe 2 or 3 times in my whole life really. And that's with a lifetime of drinking, which was not a good thing. I guess I wish, perhaps in some way, if my body did punish me more, then it would have helped. And it is very hard to sign up for these things, like with the NHS and such, the health service, to get onto these stop drinking programs. And I don't think a lot of them would work for me. I don't think sitting in a circle talking about, I mean, to be honest, I'm not sure how they really work, but I don't think talking to other people would really help. And my experience was talking to other people is they just mock you really. So yeah, what happened afterwards? I was really, really struggling, and I couldn't stop thinking about drinking. But I had one secret weapon that I just happened to stumble across, and that was soda water. So sparkling water, well, soda water. I wasn't really sure what the difference was, so soda water seems to be, I think they call it club soda in some countries. It seems to be a slightly more expensive version of sparkling water, the kind they use in cocktails and such. And sparkling water is just carbonated water. One's more expensive than the other, I realised. But that also helped. So every evening I would just go home, and instead of buying loads of beers, I would buy a load of bottles of sparkling water, and I would just continue my routine. So I would just drink the sparkling water instead of the beer, and that actually really, really helped. It helped me mentally, is in the sense that I was sipping on something, so it really took off the edge in that respect. And already I was saving massive amounts of money, because sparkling water is, or even the soda water, is cheaper than beers and such, and wine and cider and all that nonsense. And as a result, I was getting a lot better sleep. Now, one thing I expected was that my mood would, well, I was fairly convinced that my rubbish mood that I would occasionally have was linked to alcohol for a while. Then I'd stop drinking for a few days, and I'd still have a bad mood. So then I thought perhaps it's nothing to do with the alcohol, maybe I'm just a moody person. But I found gradually over time my mood has started to improve, and now I have a really positive outlook on life in general, somehow. So I think that initially, the change, it really destroyed my mood when I stopped drinking, but gradually it seems to improve over time. Now, perhaps that's like an obvious thing to someone who observes this like from an outsider's perspective, but to me it was some sort of miracle almost. So that was really great. But the issue is I did really enjoy just getting absolutely trashed and watching YouTube videos all evening. It wasn't a very productive thing to do, but because I wasn't really accountable to anyone, I could afford it. It didn't seem to affect my life at all, apart from being a bit moody in the morning. Like, yeah, it was expensive and slowly killing me, but I didn't really care at the time. Like, to me, the only responsibilities I had in life were to vaguely keep myself alive, and even that, I suppose, is optional when no one's relying on you. Just a bit of a sad thought, but now I'm a bit more positive on things, and I'm going to be honest, the making of the videos has really helped as well a lot. It's something I almost look forward to now in the morning. When I was drinking heavily, I had nothing really to look forward to apart from finishing work and then drinking again in the evening, because that sort of calmed me down a lot. So yeah, it's really hard for me to talk about this, to be honest. My thoughts they're all really jumbled about this. I'm not sure if anyone's had a similar experience before. Well, they must have done, to be honest. It must be quite common. But when I do try to think about or remember myself back when I was drinking, back last year, the year before, and so on, when I think back on it, I almost feel as though I'm remembering somebody else's life, as if it was somebody else's life I'm remembering. And that's been like a thing for most of my past in a way. I feel almost like I'm an outside observer, and I'm just remembering a series of dreams or television shows I've once watched. But now I've stopped drinking, things are starting to become a bit clearer. So just talking about that, it makes it feel as though, or makes me realise that perhaps it was affecting me in some way, more than just having a slightly bad mood. It's affecting my memories, my thoughts, all these things. But I do feel as though now it's been some time since I've stopped the drinking. I've started to regain my memories, regain my sort of passions in some things. I've regained some time, well, a lot of time, even though I feel like time is now going a lot faster since I'm not just wasting it and not sleeping at all. I've got a lot more time to think about productive things, to think about the future almost, to think about what I want to do. And I'm a lot less miserable at work. So I'm not sure if this really covers the topic I was supposed to talk about, the emotional side of quitting drinking. But I will say that I am a lot happier. I'm getting a lot better sleep. I'm a lot less miserable, and I guess I'm just enjoying my simple life a bit more. Like, my house isn't an absolute state anymore. I actually take care of myself. I've lost a lot of weight, so I can't really see any downsides. But there's always that lingering thought in the back of my mind. What about today? What if I just have a few drinks today? Maybe just for today. But I don't think that's a good idea. I think that one day will lead to multiple days, which will lead to weeks, then months, then years, and then in 10 years' time I'll start this challenge again and be like, so, I've lost 10 years of my life again. Let's talk about it. But yeah, thanks for listening anyway, and I'll be back tomorrow with perhaps another AI topic, or perhaps something a bit more thought through. I do want to try and refine the prompts for the AI to get some decent topics, but then I also need to talk about things that I am uncomfortable with. You know, the whole point of this is it's a challenge and it's not comfortable. Although I am looking forward to making regular videos with edits and such in, so I don't sound like an absolute buffoon constantly when recording these. But yeah, thanks for listening, and I shall be back tomorrow.